The following is a Cable 14 special presentation.
The city of Hamilton is situated upon the traditional territories of the Erie, Neutral, Huron-Wendat, Haudenosaunee, and Mississaugas. This land is covered by the Dish with One Spoon Wampum Belt Covenant, which was an agreement between the Haudenosaunee and the Anishinaabe to share and care for the resources around the Great Lakes. We further acknowledge that this land is covered by the Between the Lakes Purchase in 1792 between the Crown and the Mississaugas of the Credit First Nation. Today, the city of Hamilton is home to many Indigenous people from across Turtle Island, known as North America. And we recognize that we must do more to learn about the rich history of this land so that we can better understand our roles as residents, neighbors, partners, and caretakers.
Hello and welcome once again to the Hamilton Network's 2022 Provincial Election debates, presented live by Cable 14 in partnership with our good friends at the Hamilton Spectator. I'm Mike Fortune, and I will be your moderator for this evening. For the next 90 minutes, we are featuring candidates in the riding of Hamilton East, Stoney Creek. Joining us live in studio this evening are Zagim Butt from the New Democratic Party, Jason Farr from the Liberal Party, and Paul Miller, the incumbent, running as an independent candidate. Gentlemen, thank you all for being here this evening. We appreciate your time. The Progressive Conservative candidate Neil Lumsden and the Green candidate Cassie Wiley were also invited to participate in this Hamilton East Stoney Creek debate. However, both declined. Also running in Hamilton East Stoney Creek are Dominic DeLuca for the Ontario Party, Cameron Wojcicki of the Electoral Reform Party, and Jeffrey Rolino for the New Blue Party. Our format for this broadcast, it includes 2 minutes each for the candidates to make an opening statement. Then, our esteemed local media panel will be posing questions with one follow-up opportunity on the topic at hand before any other candidate may also want to speak to it. And finally, we will wrap up with a 1-minute closing statement from each of our candidates. Viewers at home, if you are watching, please live tweet us at Cable 14 or email election@cable14.com to share any questions that you would like us to ask these candidates on your behalf. Of course, I'll be doing my best to keep us on track with what's expected for each section and how we're doing for time. So, without further delay, let's get started with our 2-minute opening statements. If needed, you will be getting a 10-second warning before I call time. Representing the New Democratic Party, Zagim Butt, you are up first.
Thank you, Mike. Good evening, everyone. Thank you to Cable 14 for hosting us tonight. Thank you to the panel for being here. And of course, thank you to the folks at home for tuning in. My name is Zagim Butt, and I'm running to be your MPP for Hamilton East Stoney Creek for the NDP. I'm running because I want to make sure we have a government that invests in people and make sure that workers and families get ahead. We all know the last few years have been difficult. Our healthcare system is on its knees. Our seniors have been ignored. Our kids' education is in jeopardy. And the cost of living is higher than ever, and we're all feeling it. As a community, we need to decide who we want leading this province. We had 4 long years of the Doug Ford Conservatives, cuts and bad decisions. They have neglected the people of this province. Matter of fact, where are the PCs tonight to be held accountable? And 15 years of the Del Duca Kathleen Wynne Liberals didn't help before. Only the NDP has a plan to invest in its people and fix what the Liberals and the Conservatives broke, whether it's investing in our health care, prioritizing our education, and making life more affordable. Thank you, and I look forward to our discussion.
Zagim, thank you very much for that. We will now continue on with Jason Farr representing the Liberal Party. Jason, you are up.
Thank you, Mike Fortune. Good evening, and thank you as well to the Hamilton Spectator, and it's great to be back on Cable 14. This is a valuable election time exercise, especially helpful for the many residents tuned in to learn about their candidates tonight and how we are set to tackle the issues. And with that, not attending this debate sends the wrong message, that none of this matters. The message from the Conservative candidate, quote, "That's the way it is," end quote. If that's the way it is tonight, well, you can bet that's the way it will be if he is elected. When residents want to engage or inform on important issues like the many new developments in Hamilton East Stoney Creek, 5 by my count, or ask why the promised Centennial GO train station remains stalled, the last thing they want to hear in Hamilton East Stoney Creek is, "That's the way it is." So those who showed, thanks for the amazing race, and that is, of course, absent of the Conservative now, who's more clearly into fear factor. As a 3-term councillor, president of City Housing, and the police board member, I'm well versed on how the province and the municipality interact. I understand the concerns of Hamilton East Stoney Creek, and the OLP has a costed plan born of engagement with thousands of Ontarians, not in the back room, not exclusive to any one group. It's a plan that's called A Place to Grow. I call it A Place to Grow 2.0. And for this East End born and raised candidate, this campaign continues to exhilarate and inspire me. The themes emanating from the doors are not surprising, but confirm that in Hamilton East Stoney Creek, we're concerned about our post-pandemic future, and I'm going to act on your behalf to bring some balance and some hope, and make life more affordable, fixing what's broken in healthcare and sustainable growth planning, bringing security to seniors and our hardworking families. Again, it's great to be here tonight. More on that platform, I'm sure, when we answer those media questions.
Jason, thank you very much for that opening statement. And finally, running in Hamilton East Stoney Creek as an independent and the incumbent candidate, Mr. Paul Miller. Paul, you are up.
Thanks, Mike. Good evening, everyone. I've always seen political debate as one of the most important parts of our democratic tradition. It is disappointing that there are only 3 of us here tonight. A recent Toronto Star poll on May 20th reported that when asked about skipping the debate, 81% of the respondents believe it is disgraceful. Steve Paikin commented on this unfortunate trend, saying that back in the day, even if your party was trying to protect a lead in the polls, it would have been unthinkable for leaders to dodge one-on-one interviews and for candidates not to show up for all local debates. McMaster professor Henry Jasek noted that the PC party figures it has got more to lose if it lets their local candidates say what they want to say. Politicians should not hide behind their leader or behind high-priced communication firms and PR teams in Toronto. Having represented this riding for 15 years and having been elected by wide margins each time, I can stand here and honestly say that I know what the people of this community need, and I know that many of you are confident in supporting me in my continued work. I would like to quickly thank the widespread support I've experienced throughout this riding, with a special thanks to the United Steelworkers Local 1005 and my friends at the Stoney Creek Legion. We are facing worsening struggles with day-to-day affordability, housing, security, and severely underfunded health and education systems. I have been fighting for these issues for many years and will continue to do so when I'm re-elected. As an independent member, I can prioritize our community concerns and not be hamstrung by party politics. I will have the same budget, the same office, and the same commitment to the people of my community. The only difference is that I will be free to say what the people want me to say and not be under the thumb of a party or censored by upper brass. The late Peter Cormos once told me that you don't win elections in Toronto, Paul. You win them in your riding. Be good to the people you represent, and they will be good to you. Thank you.
Mr. Miller, thank you very much for that opening statement. Of course, to all of our candidates, thank you for your opening statements as we are about to get underway. Now, it is time to bring our local media panel on board. With us for this debate this evening are Matthew Van Dongen of the Hamilton Spectator. Rick Zamperin is making his 3rd time a charm here of 900 CHML is back. Bobby Rostova of CBC Hamilton. Matt Ingram from CHCH joins us tonight. And of course, from the Opinionators right here on Cable 14, Tara Crunally. Each of our panelists will be choosing a candidate to answer a question. They will then have the option to ask one follow-up question based on the response to that particular candidate, and then we will open the question up to any of the other candidates here who may wish to speak to it. All of your responses will be limited to 1 minute. I'll give a warning when your time has run out. Our first question tonight comes from Matthew Van Dongen of the Hamilton Spectator. Matthew, you're up.
Good evening. I'll direct my first question to the Liberal candidate, Jason Farr. In Hamilton, as you know, there is a homelessness and affordable housing crisis. And I'd just like you to tell us what the Liberal Party will do to help fix that crisis in East Hamilton.
In East Hamilton and throughout the province, of course, there's going to be a lot of attention and focus on the things that you know in covering City Hall. Matt, and by the way, thank you for the question and thank you for volunteering your time tonight, that are prevalent with this extensive issue, particularly in our Ward 2. And that's mental health and drug addiction. And so there's substantial investments that we're going to be making that we understand need to be made, and where we have lost focus perhaps over the years is, those gaps in the system where we know we have an individual in crisis or what we call high acuity, and they are off to St. Joe's for an assessment and then back out into that crisis situation on the streets or in encampments in some cases over the past 2 years. And it's not helpful. Certainly there are tests that are done, but they're not rigorous enough, so investments need to be made. And 100,000 new healthcare workers includes nurses, doctors, but also those trained specifically to address those needs, those high acuity needs with respect to opioid addiction and mental health issues, among other necessities to address this very prevalent issue.
Matthew, do you have a follow-up for candidate Jason Farr?
I do, Mr. Farr. You mentioned the encampments, and as a downtown councillor, you've probably faced some criticism over our city's decisions and policies around clearing encampments. What can a provincial government do in a more immediate sense to help cities deal with this crisis of folks living in parks and in tents?
Well, again, it's about funding and about filling the gaps. And certainly I did see some criticism, particularly in your editorial pages of the Hamilton Spectator. You'd be stunned to know how many people actually appreciated the fact that they got their parks back through a couple of motions that I moved as a city councillor. There are impacts, you know that, and your fellow reporters at the Hamilton Spectator have seen that over the last couple of years. So we couldn't be the only city that permitted camping in parks and public places. Not an easy one for this councillor, for sure. It's a very delicate situation. So specifically, as I said, what we need to do, Matt, is focus on, the supports needed for those individuals with the mental health, with the drug addiction, or the combination of both, which we have unfortunately seen in spades in this area. And in fact, in the last homeless count, about 20% of the individuals of about 540 homeless individuals in November who participated said that they had come from outside
We would now
regions.
like to open this up actually for further discussion, if that's okay.
And that puts a strain on the system.
There we go. Further discussion to that particular question, homelessness and encampments here in Hamilton.
Yes, that's been an ongoing problem, Mike, for many years, and people are struggling, especially if their financial situation is not good. And of course, mental health plays a big part of that situation. And I think the provincial government could put money into large buildings that could be renovated, apartment buildings that need work, and open up a lot of spaces that way, as opposed to waiting for 2 or 3 years for all this housing to be built that all the parties are promising. And as you're building these homes for the people, what do they do in between? And I think, don't forget, the builders aren't going to build these homes for free. They're going to want market value, or at least get compensation on if they have to put a percentage towards those types of housing, mixed housing. So I think an immediate answer to that situation would be to take some of these large empty buildings in Hamilton and renovate them. And a lot of them have been renovated into nice condos, and they sell them for crazy prices. But I think a lot of them could be fixed up at a fair price, and at least get these people off the street. And then it's dignity. They have a place to stay. It's better for their mental health, better for their overall being. And I think that would be an important move by the government.
Zagham, follow-up or response to your other two candidates?
Thank you so much. It's the same Liberal candidate who voted for spending thousands of dollars of removing these homeless individuals that are living on the streets, and he's talking about support. Yes, I agree. As Paul said, this is why the NDP is promising to make mental health part of OHIP and investing, and ensure that instead of big mansions and will end exclusionary zoning and focusing on developing semis, triplexes, duplexes, and creating the middle housing, making more affordable homes, social homes. And the NDP has a plan of creating 1.5 million new homes over the next decade.
Mr. Farr, would you like to respond to this?
Just back to that very sensitive encampment issue, we can't be the only city. My colleague with the hopeful NDP MPP gig should know that, impacts are happening not just in Ward 2. I emphasized it earlier. You'll recall the brazen daylight gun battle that emanated from an encampment just over at Centennial Parkway on public land. It turned into a hijacking of a Walmart truck. These are real impacts, real issues, and real elected officials need to address them. The Liberal Party, by the way, is investing $3 billion to focus on those things that I talked to Matt about, which is the opioid addictions and the mental health issues. There are gaps. We know that. We're going to fix it.
Final thoughts, anybody, before we move on? We're good? Okay. Wonderful. Thank you very much. Continuing on from 900 CHML, Mr. Rick Zampern, your question and the candidate you would like to direct it to, please.
Thank you, Mike. Mr. Miller, Mr. Farr, Mr. Butt, thanks for coming out. It's important that we hear your opinions and views on these high priority topics that voters are going to weigh your opinions on when they go to the ballot box. I'll direct this to Mr. Butt. Gas prices, the highest they've ever been. We know that 50 cents for every liter goes to various taxes. Some of the parties are proposing to, trim some of those taxes. Where does the NDP stand? Where do you stand on gas prices? How do we cut them? How do we make it more affordable for people to drive to and from work?
Thank you so much. I actually met a resident on Nash Street who used to drive down to Confederation Park and drive down there for leisure. Now he's second guessing himself because of big oil. Big oil, we got to stop big oil from price gouging, and we're the only party to stand up against big oil and regulate retail prices and the markup that they have. And we have seen in Alberta lowering the provincial tax does not work, and we see in Alberta as well, they're seeing the highest prices that folks are paying over there. So regulating big oil will be a big part.
Rick, if you have a follow-up question, and then we'll open it up to our other candidates after that if they wish to speak to it.
Definitely. On the regulation front, from what I glean, the NDP is proposing a weekly kind of regulation. So once a week, that price could change, obviously. How does that keep prices down if you're week by week kind of changing whatever the price at the pumps could be?
So folks will know if they could. See the trips that they could make, like that folk that I met in on Nash Street that would take trips down to Confederation Park. Now he's second guessing himself if he should take that trip to Confederation Park or should he go to the grocery stores to buy his groceries. So folks will know. We'll stop big oil from price gouging. It's been going on for far too long, and we're the only party that'll stand up to big oil right now.
We'll open this up for discussion with the other two candidates. Mr. Miller?
Yes, that's a good question. I think, it's federally regulated, and I think the feds step in and put the hammer down on some of the oil companies that have made crazy amounts of profit. And they have to look at whenever anything happens in the world, as whether it's Ukraine or something, all of a sudden the prices go up. Every time there's a problem or a disaster, prices go up. Why is that? It doesn't necessarily, it's not affecting the oil tanks, it's not affecting the tankers, it's not affecting the delivery of the oil. So I think that's what they've got to look at, and they've got to regulate during times of crisis and during times of downtimes, that they have to make sure that these people are not gouging people at the thing, and they have to regulate it federally, and the provincial have to enforce it. But I agree with you. I think the NDP's plan to do a weekly thing would be impossible. It would be impossible to regulate it. It would be impossible to enforce it. It has to be a standard that has to be maybe every 3 months or quarterly, and see what's been going on and who the bad actors are and go after them.
Mr. Farr, would you like to jump into this?
Thank you, Mike. And Rick, good to see you, and thank you for your trifecta here tonight on Cable 14. It's definitely a global issue at this point, at least in North America. I had friends that just ventured south and paid about the same, if not more, in several states on their way home and to their vacation that they'd put off for 2 years, like so many others, and finding those unbearable prices just about everywhere in North America. The Liberal plan is to immediately, or by July 1st, I should say, take 10 cents off the pump. Doesn't sound like much when we're looking at approximately $2 today, but it's something. I think we're at a point now where we get excited when we hear on the news that it's down 2 cents today. So anything helps. But to that end, looking at the bigger issue of affordability, certainly we have in our costed plan things to encourage folks to get out of the car. If they have that opportunity, take a buck a ride for a few years with a very popular plan at the doors for All Go, for HSR, for all public transit. You know, the cost of prepared foods and taking the taxes off of that under $20. Many things that we are doing to incentivize and create opportunities for folks to get active in a multimodal way and maybe contemplate getting out of the car. And that not only avoids those high gas prices, but it also helps the environment.
Mr. Butt, we'll give you an opportunity to respond, if you like, to Mr. Miller's claim regarding the NDP and the 3 months.
Thank you so much. The Interior Energy Board will regulate big oil from retail increase in the wholesale markup. And as the Liberal candidate said, they'll decrease 10 cents. And we've seen it happen in Alberta. They took away the provincial tax. And they're still the highest they're ever paying in Alberta as right now. And not only will regulate big oil, we'll ensure that we'll decrease insurance rates that the folks are paying so they have more money in their pockets.
Thank you very much for that. Mr. Miller, would you like to respond to that?
I've heard this theme before. Every time before election, all the big promises. I remember buck a beer. How did that make out? I remember a buck off your ride. Well, what they aren't taking into consideration, with all due respect, is the fact that the ongoing maintenance costs of running these systems, they go up. Unions get paid more. Prices go up for salaries. So to put a label of $1 on a ride wouldn't last very long. And I think that promise might be good for about 2 or 3 months after these systems get up and running. So once again, there'll be a retraction. And there are a lot of retractions after elections.
Final words? We're all good? Okay, and my apologies. I think I caught myself. I referred to Mr. Miller with the NDP party. My apologies to everyone watching this tonight, to the NDP party and to the Independent Party. Up next, Bobby Rostova from CBC Hamilton. Your question and the candidate you'd like to direct it to, please.
Thank you. My question is for the NDP candidate. Long-term care homes in Hamilton have been the source of COVID-19 outbreaks, and they've been the site of deplorable conditions. Your platform talks about ending for-profit care homes. You talk about setting a set of standards. But what do you do to hold privatized homes accountable? How do you ensure that their quality doesn't drop?
So the last thing we want to do is what this government was doing when we seen what was going on in for-profit homes, and this government was rewarding them with new contracts. Unacceptable. I was speaking to a lady whose husband has Alzheimer and he's about 93. So she went to a for-profit home where her uncle is staying. She saw him sitting in his spoiled diaper, being neglected due to the fact that understaffing is going off. When there's profit, there is no care, and we will pivot away from these for-profit homes and make sure it is non-for-profit. And for the folks, and she told me that she'll never let her husband go to a for-profit home or a long-term care home. She'd rather let him stay at home. And for the folks that want to make sure that their loved ones stay at home, we will make their homes more accessible.
Bobby, follow-up question?
Yeah, just on the theme of supporting people, obviously Hamilton's a union town, and besides creating jobs, how are you helping workers, and how do you balance the need for job creation with other issues like the environment or the need for sustainable urban development?
Thank you so much. First and foremost, I want to say that we want to make it easier for workers to unionize, whether it's introducing card check certification, first contract arbitration, or introducing just cause to employment. As you know, as per our Green New Democratic deal, we'll be creating 100,000 jobs by a retrofit program as well. It will be introducing rebates to electric vehicles while the Doug Ford government was ripping out charges from the grounds.
Thank you very much for that response. We will now open up. Let's go with the second part of that question from Bobby, if you feel comfortable with it.
Yeah, I would like to talk about the long-term facility.
Let's go to LTC then.
Thank
Perfect.
you.
Thank you. Let's stay with that.
Yeah, actually, Bobby, that's a good question, because I think what's happening, and it's happened over the years, is for-profit have got out of hand. Why? Because of lack of inspections. They don't inspect these homes enough. They should be in there once every 2 weeks with an inspector to make things that are copacetic. People are being taken properly. Talk to the families that visit their parents and loved ones there. Are they satisfied with the service they're getting? Are they happy with the interaction between the staff and their parents or their loved ones? That's very important. But I think the biggest problem is I would like to see things move towards a public system as long-term care, but you can't do that overnight. There are hundreds of private long-term care facilities. Where are you going to put these people overnight? You can't. You have to regulate, enforce these types of facilities to come up to the level of the public sector. And once they do, then you can see about changing over to the public system. But don't forget, it's going to cost a lot of money to buy out these private situations. And a lot of them are conglomerates. They might have 30 homes. And it's a lot of coin to buy them out. But what I think you got to do is bring it up to the proper care level.
Mr. Farr?
And so on the LTC's, similar comments to Mr. Miller. I mean, we have a plan that looks to, and it's bold and it's aggressive, to end long-term care by 2028. Bold and aggressive. However, it is something to shoot for because we have seen, particularly through the pandemic, some horrifying conditions, and in fact, right here in town, and into other cities where the military has had to be called in. So we're also looking at 15,000 new assisted living homes. And one of the things that's really resonating well at the doors, especially when I'm talking to the seniors, some of them with ailments, takes them a while to get to the door, and they're happy to see me, but they want to know, how can you help me at home? We're seeking in our costed platform to increase the amount of seniors getting assistance so they can age in place in their homes, which most want to do so they can avoid some of these disastrous situations at some long-term care facilities, by the amount of $400,000 across Ontario, and that's a $2 billion annual investment we want to make by 2026.
Thank you all for your responses to that particular question regarding long-term care. We appreciate it. Now, moving on. Joining us tonight, first time in our studios from CHCH to ask a question, Mr. Matt Ingram. Matt, you're up.
Thanks very much for having me, and thank you very much, the three of you coming out tonight. It takes a lot of courage to come out and debate the issues. It's really hard for people to understand where a candidate sits if you don't show up for the debate. So thank you very much. I really appreciate that. My question is for you, Paul. Longtime parliamentarian, everyone knows you in East Hamilton, Stoney Creek, always as an NDP, and your supporters have been NDP. Now you're in this situation where you're no longer with the party.
Correct.
How do you convince these voters, these NDP voters who have supported you, that even though your party, your former party, no longer wants you to represent them, that you are still the right choice to represent the riding?
Thank you for the question, Matt. I think what's happened is I joined this party 40 years ago. And this party has moved in a different direction. They're not the party of labor anymore. And I was a steel worker, and a lot of unions have left the NDP, as you know, and gone to Doug Ford. Interesting, that's never happened before. So they're not happy either. So I think the party is moving in a direction that they're dealing with a lot of small groups and a lot of malcontent people. And I think people are sick and tired of this situation. And they always criticize, and I always used to sit there and say, okay, we criticize, we're constantly after them. I said, what are we going to do? Because when I go to those people at the door, they say, Paul, Andrea's attacking all these, Ford and whoever, Wynne and whatever, but she never has answers. It's always what you did wrong, but then people say to me, what are you going to do about it? Now, as an independent, I certainly will have an opinion, and I'll be able to voice their opinion at the legislature.
Matt, follow-up question?
So you'll have a voice, you'll be able to act as an independent, but how can you be effective as an independent in making these changes?
Extremely effective. My situation doesn't change, Matt. I have the same staff, I have the same budget as any other MPP, and I have the same ability to, in fact, I'll probably get more questions now that I'm an independent. And we do have the right to ask questions in the House as well. And certainly you have access to the media on a regular basis, and that's no problem. They certainly will get the word out if they don't like something. So I think it improves my situation because I don't know if you remember that movie Free Willy. Well, it's Free Millie.
Thank you very much.
Yeah, please jump in.
Can I say, Matt, and probably not a lot of candidates would do this in this situation, but, Paul has 15 years under his belt, and he should be recognized and commended for that. I didn't always disagree with the actions and the emphasis sometimes at Queen's Park Mr. Miller had taken over the years. And certainly Andrea and him had their bouts, and anybody who even loosely follows provincial politics over that time understands that, and maybe weren't too surprised to see the situation he's in now, of which I will not comment on, but it's one that just another fight for Mr. Miller. But it certainly needs to be recognized that that is public service, and that's a long time. And I'm here tonight going after that job. I think I can do a very good job as the representative for Hamilton East Stoney Creek as MPP. But it's not only the 15 years, and I'm glad he referenced it, and I'm really glad, Matt Ingram from CHCH, that you asked the question, because, you know, that fight started with 1005, and Paul was well known and supported in his bid as MPP because of the battles that he participated in as a steel worker in his career before that. And so while most candidates wouldn't take the time to do it, Paul, it should be recognized, but I'm still going after you.
Yeah, thanks, Jason.
And another candidate going after Mr. Miller is also Zagham. Your response, please.
Thank you so much, Mike. NDP will always be a voice and a party for workers. And this is why we are endorsed by OSSTF, UFCW, and my local PSAC has endorsed us, and OFL has endorsed us. And as per manufacturing jobs are concerned, I believe under the Liberals, we lost 300,000 manufacturing jobs. And people voted for the values of the NDP. It's through Andrea's leadership and the NDP's plan we are a few seats away from forming government. And this is because of this province have faith in Andrea's leadership and a vision for a better Ontario, which will prioritize its residents. And on June 2nd, we will form government and we will fix what the others broke.
Mr. Miller?
Well, yeah, that's it's a good statement by Mr. Butt, but I think I don't want to be facetious here, but I believe Andrea's had 3 kicks at the cat. This will be her 4th, and she hasn't cut it yet. So I think one of our best chances to win would have been in 2018, and there was a few things at the end of the situation that didn't go well, and the debate was one of them. And I think sometimes leaders have to know when to step down. And I think this is the time for Andrea Horvath. She should have stepped down before this election.
Mr. Miller, any further responses? Mr. Butt?
It's Andrea and the NDP's plan that offers hope to the people in this province. On June 2nd, my candidates beside me will learn that this is why the NDP will be forming government on June 2nd as well.
Okay, thank you very much for those responses to that question. Up now from Cable 14, you'll recognize her as host and moderator of The Opinionators. It's Tara Cernally with a question to from one of our viewers submitted by tweeting us at Cable 14 or, of course, emailing us at election@cable14.com. Tara, you are up.
Thank you so much. And once again, I want to reiterate what others have said. Thank you so much for being with us tonight. It's very important for us to hear what you've got to say. So this question is for Mr. Farr from Andrew in Stoney Creek. The Hamilton Police Services Board is responsible for the effective police services in this community. 3 of the 7 members of the board are appointed by the province. Should your party be elected, what abilities, training, and experience qualify an applicant, in your view, to be appointed to serve on the board?
Thank you very much for the question from Andrew.
Andrew.
And nice to see you again, Tara. It's an important question. As a fairly recent Police Service Board member, I was fortunately unanimously appointed in replacement of the widely popular Councillor Collins, and who is now an MP. And on that board, we have already focused on equity, diversity, and inclusion, and certainly that's a big focus of the Ontario Liberal Party. We know that when we make these decisions, we need to make them in a smart way, but we have to be collaborative in who we appoint, whether it's a police board or whether we're dealing with any EDI issues. And so we're very focused on that. And in fact, it's only Stephen Del Duca and the OLP plan that seeks out a ministry specifically focused on dealing with these issues. And so, and a minister. And part of that is education. A big part of that is engagement with people with lived experiences that can help guide us in making those important choices for this police service boards and police service boards across Ontario.
Let's keep this topic going regarding police boards, appointments, and policing in general here locally. Mr. Miller, would you like to go?
Hi, Tara. Good to see you again. I personally think that politicians should not be part of the police board. I believe individual people from different walks in life, whether it be nursing, doctors, people that deal with the public on a regular basis and know the feel of what's going on in their community should be on the police board. Now, I think by law you have to have at least one politician. I could be wrong, but I think you need one there. Maybe the mayor or deputy mayor or somebody should be on the police board. But I think the general population and people from different walks of life would improve the police board immensely. And diversification is very important, and we have to put that into our police force and make sure that all cultural groups are represented with officers. That would be good.
Mr. Butt.
The board should be reflective of their community, and this is what the board needs to be shown. And also the board should also include mandatory training into dealing with how to deal with individuals with mental health concerns. We've seen too many times what's been going on, and this is unacceptable, and change needs to come.
Wonderful stuff. To all of our candidates for that particular question, thank you very much. We have gone through round one of our media panel cues, and now we will go to the top of the batting order. Matthew Van Dongen from The Spectator, he is back. Your question and who you'll be directing it to, please.
Oh, hello again. I will direct my next question to the NDP candidate, Mr. Zegum Butt. There appears to be broad agreement among the major political parties that Hamilton's LRT is a good project to go ahead with, but there does seem to be debate about how to do that project and even who should operate the system. So can you tell me, would an NDP government support the public running of that LRT train, or would they support the the current plan that's looking more at a private operation?
So an LRT is a great opportunity for our city of Hamilton to create affordable homes. And my friend Nicola, who's recently getting married himself, he doesn't know if he could still stay in this city, who he works in this city as well. And him and his wife are going to be leaving the city. And while going further away to be going somewhere they could afford something, and the LRT is a great opportunity to create the homes that we spoke on before: semis, triplexes, duplexes, creating the middle home. It'll create intensification within our urban boundaries, so an LRT is a great opportunity for us.
Follow-up question?
Yeah, I'll go back in particular to the operation. There seems to be some debate over who should run that train. Should it be city employees, and should that train be run by, in essence, the public? Or the past Liberal government, for example, in introducing that project, had put forward a pitch for private operators to run a publicly owned system. What are your thoughts on those options?
Thank you so much for the question again, Matthew. My main concern with the LRT is that we have to ensure that the homes that are being built are affordable, whether they are social homes or affordable homes, and so people can around the LRT because we see the issues in our society right now. So much homelessness is going on, and we've seen what Doug Ford did with rent control, as well as the building that Mr. Miller mentioned before. There's a building that he visited for a photo op on Melvin and never visited back. Almost half the residents there are facing a renovation, and as I was walking through the halls, I could hear the kids speak. I could hear the families speak. They're worried to see if they'll still have a home. They'll still have a place that they call home, and the LRT will be a great opportunity to create these affordable homes.
Responses from our other two candidates. Let's start with Mr. Farr, then we'll go to Mr. Miller.
Matt, you've followed this story for as long as you've been a reporter here in Hamilton, for sure, and you know it very well. And certainly in the last term of council, we maybe prolonged the whole LRT debate because we wanted to support ATU. We wanted to support HSR in the operations. And so that took a little time, and it took a lot of consideration. It's something I supported then. It's something that I would still support now. We should be very grateful that all of the candidates here, I'm sure, are supportive of LRT. We weren't in that place a long time ago, and a lot of where we are now came from a place of local debates and local advocacy in the thousands. And so ultimately, when it comes to putting the thing together, I mean, you know the price tag. It's about $3.5 billion and probably rising to go from Eastgate to Mac. The operations side of things, we have some very talented people at HSR. We have some folks that know the customer base along that very busy beeline. And I think that capability should be recognized. I think all in all, building the thing is the pricey part. Having local operations from municipal employees, particularly the ATU, just makes sense, and I'm sure it's something that the Ontario Liberal Party can support.
Mr. Miller, you've been waiting patiently. Your response, please.
Yeah, I think we'll go directly to your question. I don't think it's really been answered directly. I do believe it should be publicly run. I don't believe it's private, because anything that privatizes, it starts off nicely, as you know, and anything that's ever been done in this country starts off nicely, and then the prices escalate and escalate and escalate under the private sector. So I think that certainly you'd have to have control of your budget. You'd have to have benchmarks that cannot be exceeded by if it was a private person running the system, and don't exceed those. You're out of luck if you exceed the benchmark. But I think I would prefer unionized public, local people running that system. And I would hope, I've always had concerns about the overall maintenance program and how much that's going to cost in the future. And have they take that into consideration, and are they going to have contingency funds to support that situation?
A hot topic. Would we like
one
to?
other question.
Yes,
Sorry, Mike.
yes,
to
please.
address Mr. Butt's comment about Melvin Avenue, I was the first person that went down there on my own with my staff to help the people on Melvin, and I've worked with them for over 3 years on Melvin Avenue. I don't believe I saw Mr. Butt there.
I believe he didn't come back during the campaign trail there when I was speaking to the residents.
Response?
The response is when you're on a campaign trail, you go all over the constituency. So if I didn't get back to that one particular building, I'm sorry, but overall, you can see in the papers, you can read the media, I have openly supported the people that are rent evictions. I brought it up in the Parliament more than once. I don't know if you missed that day, but I brought it up a couple times right in Parliament.
Responses? We're good? Okay, we are going to be continuing on. Thank you very much. LRT, yes, definitely a hot topic, and it will be until it starts running, hopefully soon. From 900 CHML, he is back. Rick Zamperin, your question and the candidate you are directing it to, please.
So this is directed to Mr. Farr. We are amid a great resignation, one of the largest global workforce studies just completed by PricewaterhouseCoopers indicate that upwards of 20%, 1 in 5 people, are not fulfilled in their jobs for a variety of reasons. We're seeing many people leave their jobs, again, for a variety of reasons. A lot of gig workers in the economy. What are you and what is the Liberal Party focused on in terms of creating more jobs and getting more people into those jobs?
Well, the big focus is, and I heard you talking about this on your morning show this morning, and I should have taken notes,
Thanks
Rick.
for tuning in.
Good morning, Hamilton, and good evening, Hamilton. I think where we need to focus is in the public sector, and so we are focused very much as the Ontario Liberal Party in healthcare and education, while Ford is focused on spending $10 million to help out 7 or 8 developer buddies along some, a green space along essentially the Holland March. We're looking at taking that $10 billion and putting it towards education. And part of that plan is creating jobs, many more jobs than are there now, because we want to cap class sizes at 20. So, think about getting in the program for education or education support workers. We're planning on hiring many, many thousands more. And then in healthcare, 100,000 nurses, doctors. We're trying to assist people and inspire people by actually paying tuition for early childcare education workers. We're also looking at, taking care of those who took care of us the most on the front lines in healthcare by taking care of any outstanding debts for nurses, as an example, from school. We need to focus on what we can, control, and certainly healthcare, certainly education are a big focus of the Ontario Liberal Party going forward.
Follow-up, Rick?
Yeah, you mentioned frontline workers, healthcare. We know that Bill 124 is not a big fan of nurses across this province. That caps wages or wage increases in that sector. Would the Liberal Party repeal it if elected on June 2nd?
Not only repeal it, it might be the first thing we do. Absolute insult and then the pandemic hit. So the Ford Conservatives really showed their true colors and seem to be wanting to stick to Bill 124. So repeal that, and not only that, ensure that mental health services, Rick, are available for all healthcare professionals, because we're at a point where we've really stressed out a lot of people, and it's what I hear a lot when I'm talking to healthcare professionals from Hamilton East, Stoney Creek.
Let's open this up for discussion. Zagam, if you'd like to go first, please, this time.
I'll just add on to that. Education is a key part of our society's growth and progress. But Doug Ford seems to neglect our kids and their education, as he had made cuts in our education and forced online learning. And before, the Liberals left a backlog of repair, which has only increased under the Doug Ford Conservatives. And don't forget that there were schools that were closed under the Liberals as well. And I was speaking to a mom that was worried about her kid falling behind due to the overwhelming classroom sizes, and her kid was too nervous to ask questions after class, and he struggled through online classes as well, which also was affecting his marks and his self-esteem. Let me tell to the parents out there, the NDP promised to value our kids' education by investing in education and hiring more teachers, repealing Bill 124. Thank you very much.
Mr. Miller, response?
Yeah, I believe your question was about job creation, I believe. I think we got off track a little bit. In reference to job creation, I think a good model of job creation would be the city of Pittsburgh. City of Pittsburgh is very similar to Hamilton. It was a steel town, and a lot of steel companies went under in Pittsburgh, and so they've made a great transition. They are now the hub for Central America for high tech. So they have made a lovely transition down there, and it's created a lot of jobs down there, and a lot of unemployed former steelworkers are now working in different industries. Hamilton has to make a transition. We certainly are going to support our steel industry, and always, and hopefully, but another important aspect of this is we don't have enough tradespeople. And I'm a tradesman, and I know that for a fact. The baby boomers are leaving, and we're short about 400,000 tradesmen in Canada. So you talk about building housing, affordable housing. You talk about keeping the steel industry running. You can't do it without tradespeople. So we need to get people trained, and we have to. Our high schools have to start directing kids. Not everybody can be a doctor and a scientist, or Wayne Gretzky. You have to direct the kids towards good-paying, stable jobs, and trades are the answer.
Mr. Farr, would you like to respond to anything that was said there?
Yeah, just for clarity, I mean, certainly we have all sorts of incentives planned for job creation across the board. And even, with our environmental plans, when you're looking at hiring some, 2,000 folks in green jobs, I mean, that in itself creates incentives. Just for clarity, where we have the most bang for our buck and where we're focused, among other things, and as I said before with Rick's good question, is the things that we can control. And so certainly and obviously that's healthcare, that's education. Those are the two main things, but there are many other industries and institutions that the Ontario Liberal Party will support in job growth. And but the big ones, they're covered with this platform and the OLP plan.
Well, with all due respect, I do believe that a lot of parties in the past have promised big things for Hamilton. And sometimes we get left at the bus stop, no pun intended. And I think it's time for Hamilton to move to the forefront. Our city's growing leaps and bounds, as you know. Population's growing. And I think to get into the next couple of decades, we're going to have to be competitive as well. And that means more trades, we have to give incentives to businesses to come to Hamilton as opposed to going to other places. And I think City Hall has tried with their Economic Development Committee to bring more businesses, but somehow we always miss out on the last bid. So I think we're going to have to sharpen our pencils and make it more attractive for businesses to come from all parts of Canada. Hamilton is a health center, and we have one of the leading cancer research centers in the world, and people come here to learn and from McMaster medical programs, and they come here to learn and go back to their countries and serve their populations. So I believe we have to invest in not only medical, we have to invest in bringing mid-size and large companies to Hamilton, which will keep our young people working.
Thank you for that response. Thanks for keeping us on track as well. You can take this role maybe at some point down the road. And thank you very much for all those comments. We're now going to continue on with Bobby Rostova from CBC Hamilton. Your question and candidate directed to, please.
My question is for the incumbent. the NDP said that you had a troubling pattern of behavior before you became independent. I'd like to know, how are you working to build trust with communities of Black, Indigenous, and people of color, and where does anti-racism fall under your priorities?
I had a feeling this question would come up, and the bottom line is I haven't lost any inroads with any of those communities because basically they're false accusations, and obviously I'm suing the NDP and Andrea Horvath for false allegations, and it's in the court system as we speak, and I'll be exonerated when this is all said and done. Of course, as you know, Bobby, it takes time in courts to get things moving, but in reference to the false allegations that were put forward, I've had iTech guys look into it, and as I said to you, and I don't think you report enough of it, but my site was compromised on several times. I don't use Facebook. My staff always did, and I hate to admit it, but I'm not great with Facebook. I don't even know how to get into it, so I've never used it. And someone said, I believe the NDP candidate said, well, I thanked my daughter in Calgary for something she had did. Well, actually, Ryan Ladner, my guy, sent that message for me to thank my daughter. She was the queen of the Calgary Stampede at the time, and she won that, and I sent her a congratulatory through my staff. And that's
Bobby,
the only time.
A follow-up to that particular topic there, Bobby?
Yeah, you say you haven't lost any inroads with anybody. I wonder, as an MPP, hate crimes have been a real hot issue in Hamilton, and a lot of people have put their kind of voice behind a federal bill, Bill C-229, which would make it easier for police to act on things like a hate flag at a home. As an MPP, what is your role in tackling hate crimes, and how do you do it?
I think supporting bills like that would be a good start. And I'm a firm believer that everyone should be treated fairly and decently. And I think that it doesn't matter what culture you come from or what race you come from, we're all Canadians. We work together to build this country to what it can be and will be. And I said, I have no pretenses about where I stand on this. And it's amazing, at 71, all of a sudden these things come at me when someone wants to get me out of a party. Just think, what happened for the last 70 years? Well, you asked that question. I've never been accused of anything like that before. So a little strange, Bobby. Thank you.
Let's go to Mr. Butt here because the NDP was referenced, and then we'll get to Mr. Farr. Your response to this, please.
Thank you so much. Thank you so much, Bobby, for the question. The party condemns racism and all forms of hate, and this is why the party is introducing our London Family Act to combat Islamophobia. Thank you.
Mr. Farr?
Yes, and that London family tragedy led me to receive from the Muslim Council recommendations for municipalities. They also had recommendations for provinces and federal recommendations. It was probably the easiest motion I have ever written, and in fact, it was more of a cut and paste exercise, unanimous support at council to follow through municipally on all of those recommendations. And as I mentioned earlier, Bobby, and I'm glad you brought it up, and I am definitely not getting in the middle of what's going on with Paul and the NDP, and certainly time will give you all of the answers to your question here tonight on that, but you are hitting on, and I think for clarity, and I think I'm catching the question, I mentioned we have a plan for a standalone minister who's going to engage on things like systemic racism. It's such a prevalent issue. It's not exclusive to Hamilton East Stoney Creek. It's quite obviously something that we're dealing with across the world and in recent days stateside, unfortunately, again. So racial discrimination, hate crimes, systemic racism is something that deserves its own ministry, and that's something that the Ontario Liberal Party is going to set up.
Thank you all for that. Would anyone like to add more? We're good? Okay, wonderful stuff. We are now going to continue on. Mr. Ingram from CHCH, he is back. Your question and who you're directing it to, please.
Thank you very much for another question. My question is for you, Jason. Reconciliation has been something that we have heard much about, but it does seem like a very slow process. Living in Hamilton, we're not far away from the longest residential school in Canadian history. I'm wondering what parts of the Liberal platform are going to advance reconciliation in a meaningful and timely way, not just a kicking it down the road kind of way.
That's a great question, Matt, and certainly that would fall under the ministry that I just mentioned, and we're committed to implementing the Truth and Reconciliation Commission calls for action by working with and learning with our Indigenous people. And so when I talked about that ministry and the people we engage with, quite obviously the Indigenous community is among one of the many important groups that we need to engage with. What you're saying is how expedited can this process be? That's a day one ministry. You set it up and you get together with those known players, those known advocates, and they already have a tremendous amount of ideas. And part of that is recognizing our faults. When the Pope comes here, there better be that apology, and it should be sincere. But there are so many other people that need to not only recognize but say sorry, move forward together, and take those creative, outstanding ideas from our Indigenous community and put them to work. And that's what Truth and Reconciliation is, and that's something that we're going to cover in a very big way.
In follow-up, to give you an example, right now the Survivors Secretariat at the Mohawk Institute, the Woodland Teaching Center, they've been trying to get a hold of all the documents from the province, from the feds, from the different cities and municipalities, but they're not getting everything they need despite being told that they are being worked with. A good example is the federal government gave those documents to the Truth and Reconciliation Commission, but says if the Survivor Secretariat wants those documents, they got to go to the Truth and Reconciliation. What I'm getting to is there's a lot of bureaucracy. There's a lot of steps that seem to be need to take in to make fairly simple changes. How do you incorporate that experience, this experience that they've had in hitting these walls with not just the federal government, the provincial government, the municipal government? How do you take that lesson forward and make changes?
Well, again, you need to sit down and you need to recognize what are the issues from the very people who have those issues, who know them, who are educated on them, who have lived them, because sadly it wasn't all that long ago that we were dealing with this issue in this nation. And so let them tell us, but don't get mired in bureaucracy, as you say. I'm clear from my understanding of the issue as it is related to me from our own, Indigenous work with the City of Hamilton and as a councillor for 12 years. What the many issues are, this is among the top. That, you talk a good game, but you don't come through. This is one that is of great interest to me as well. And so, that ministry needs to understand that, there are going to be priorities. That will be among the very top priorities, maybe not the top priority, but among the very top priorities. And we have to listen to that. We have to respect that. And I failed to mention, Mike, I know you're holding your hand up, but we're the only party that's looking for a National Day of Truth and Reconciliation as a statutory holiday in Ontario.
Mr. Miller, response?
Jason, that's a good idea for the national recognition. I agree with that, but I also think that they have to establish committees that deal with the band councils on a direct basis, on a regular basis, to the problems they're facing, whether it be drinking water in the north, that it's full of mercury, whether it's poverty, mental health. We need federal and provincials of all the provinces to get together with the feds, form an actual department that deals with Indigenous problems throughout. They are the fastest growing demographic in our country. We have to take care of them, and we should have done it a long time ago. And I think, the things that have been happening at the schools was just outrageous. And now we're getting more and more reports every day of more situations, and it's really terrible. And we certainly need to apologize as a nation to that, but we also have to do something. You can make days and you can promise this day, Hat Day. You can say, but that doesn't mean anything to the Indigenous people unless they get something done about their drinking water, their living conditions, their health.
Mr. Butt.
Thank you so much. As Jason Farr said, I think it's a slogan for the Liberals by now. They talk a good game, but there's no action. I was talking to a resident who I came across while I was campaigning who was First Nation. As I spoke to them, I heard the frustration, the pain in their voices, the voice that has not been heard for a long time, the pain of the unmarked graves which has hurt us all. They demand action. Reconciliation demands more than a ceremony and a symbolic gesture. NDP will work with First Nation communities. led initiatives for solution for housing, healthcare, clean drinking water. We will implement the action recommended by the Truth Reconciliation Commission and the UN Declaration on Rights of the First Nations.
Mr. Farr?
So we're steeped in action. I'm hearing about let's get together and talk, but we actually have a platform that looks at mandating learning about the painful history of Canada's residential schools and the significant contributions of Indigenous people, supporting the teaching of First Nations. We even have libraries planned, investigating and commemorative and appropriate recognitions at these school sites. We're going to invest in First Nation public libraries, as mentioned, and make a National Day of Truth and Reconciliation a statutory holiday. All of this and much more, again, falling under a new ministry that I think is appropriate for this day and age, and especially for this issue.
Before we get to our final question, Mr. Miller, you'd like to respond?
Jason has some good points, but I think what and Mr. Butt said, we need action. I mean, putting libraries so people can go read at the library doesn't fix the problem. I mean, we need teach history. Just go to their elders in every situation. The elders can tell you what happened to them. The elders have taught their grandkids what happened to them. They're well aware of what happened to them. They don't want any more talk. They want action. They want financial support. They want their drinking water to be clean. They want their kids to have a good education. They want to have the same opportunities as everyone else in Canada, and they deserve it.
I think we are done with that particular topic. Wonderful stuff. Thank you to all. She's back. Tara Kernali with a question one of our viewers submitted by tweeting us at Cable14, or they may have sent it to us by emailing election@cable14.com. Tara, you are up.
Thank you so much. And this question is for Mr. Butt from the YWCA of Hamilton. So we are part of a province-wide campaign encouraging all candidates to put gender equity front and center this election, and we would love to ask all candidates how their parties are responding to the needs of women, girls, and gender diverse people.
Yes, thank you so much for that question. We have seen studies where it says that women earn 70% of a man's salary, which is unacceptable. We have to solve the solution. And I know a couple of my friends that have not gotten a job, have suffered through because of equity issues. And this is why we need to relook and make sure that employment, there is a committee to look after these things. Thank you.
Thank you for that response. No follow-up here, but we would like to give the other parties an opportunity to speak to this. Mr. Miller, I saw you nod first.
Yeah, thanks for the question, Tara. The gender equity is huge. I mean, I've been around, as Jason pointed out, I've been doing this a long time. And this has been a situation that has been going on for decades in our country. Women deserve equal pay. They deserve equal opportunity at any job in this country. And I've always been behind that. In fact, some of them do a better job than men in a lot of cases. So I think it's time now to put women in the forefront with everyone else, with equal pay, equal opportunity, and respect in any profession they choose to get into. It's time for the women to be on top with us.
Yeah, and thank you for the question, Tara, on behalf of the YWCA, who do tremendous work in the downtown and all throughout our city. Equal pay, quite clearly. This one's a bit of a no-brainer. Equal opportunity. You yourself have been inspiring in the world of broadcasting and the other things you do in commercial industries and so forth. But, we're long past. I can't believe we're still even chatting about this. And certainly I don't think maybe the Conservatives, but I don't think you're going to find anybody up here that doesn't completely agree with the talent that is there, and that we ought to stop talking and just get to it. And certainly the Liberals will. And there are a number of things, again, that I'm sure we'll pay attention to very early as it relates to equal pay and equal opportunity for women. And it includes a lot of stuff with them making their own choices on health, on well-being, on all aspects of their own lives, because they're certainly capable, and I can't even believe I have to say that.
Thank you all very much for those responses. Before we get to our next round of questions, though, from our media panel, any candidate not invited to participate in our debate tonight had the opportunity to record a statement. Here now is the pre-recorded statement from the new Blue Party candidate in Hamilton East Stoney Creek, Mr. Jeffrey Rolino.
Hi, my name is Jeffrey Raulino. I'm a candidate for the New Blue Party of Ontario in the riding of Hamilton East Stoney Creek. I'd like to use this opportunity to talk a little bit about myself and why I ran for the New Blue Party of Ontario. A little bit about my background is I'm come from an automotive background. My first job was fixing cars. I did that for about 10 years. I'm a licensed auto mechanic. I'm also a licensed certified forklift technician. I did that for approximately 5 years before deciding I wanted to expand my career further, which I became a licensed real estate agent. From there, I did that for a few years, decided I wanted to expand again, and became a small business owner. I built the company that I presently run. I've grown it to every province and territory in Canada. The reason I ran for the New Blue Party is because I was a political orphan for a while, decided I needed to find a new party that best represented myself, and I founded the New Blue Party of Canada. One of the problems I find with our democracy today is a top-down approach, and really democracy is a bottom-up approach, representatives representing their constituents. I will do that for my riding. I joined the New Blue because they're going to allow me to speak and be who I am as a person and fight for what I believe in, and they're the party that was going to allow me to do that, and that's why I chose them. Thank you very much.
Jeffrey, thank you very much for that statement. Now, I want to mention for our viewers, if you miss any part of this broadcast or want to see candidates from other Hamilton area ridings, you'll find the full schedule and all of our debates on demand at cable14.com, free for public viewing and sharing, all courtesy of our good friends at Cogeco and Rogers. And don't forget, if you are watching live, please tweet us at Cable14 or email election@cable14.com to share any questions that you would like to ask the candidates. So as we continue our time for Hamilton East Stoney Creek, let's return to the podium where we left off. Mr. Matthew Van Dongen, back from the Hamilton Spectator. Your question and who you're directing it to, please.
Okay, I think this question could go to anyone, but I will direct it to start at the Liberal candidate, Mr. Farr. The Progressive Conservative government coming into this election seemed to be hinting that it could force the city of Hamilton to change its growth plans and maybe expand its urban boundary to allow for more housing. How would a Liberal government handle that situation?
I can definitively say that we'll respect the council's decision and other council's decision. Who knows best but those on council, and not because councillors are smarter than provincial politicians or federal politicians, but we're the ones on housing issues that engage with the community. We have the planning committee meetings that could go on for days on any one issue, that it welcomes the delegations and the expertise from those, particularly in adjacent neighborhoods. In the case of a council's decision, near unanimous decision, I guess, to not expand our urban boundary, that's caught on in other municipalities, and we're pleased to see that. But it's egregious of the Conservatives, who already make the public comments that they've made with respect to not respecting all of those comments and all of the input that we've had over many, many, many months and years with respect to coming to the conclusion we can't. It's also egregious because you really don't understand housing. Everybody agrees that this is a place to grow, and we do have growth plans, and we need growth plans, but you can do that within the confines of the existing boundary. And the Liberal Party, Matt, and I appreciate the question, has a plan still to build 1.5 million homes over 10 years, which helps kickstart, of course, our economy, and establish the Ontario Home Building Corporation to actually make things easier. And part of that plan, to, I think, your first question, is to build about 78,000 new affordable homes, social and community homes, 38,000 homes in housing with supports, which we also talked about earlier.
Jason, that is time for the
Appreciate
minute
the
response. A quick follow-up if you have one.
Quick follow-up. There is a local coalition that's actually asking the next provincial government to put Hamilton's white belt lands, as they call them, the ones outside the urban boundary, into the green belt. How would your government look at that proposition?
That I can't answer, to be totally honest, at this point, but certainly we want to expand our green belt, and if you're expanding the green belt, and we're expanding extensively with our environmental plan, I think by 30%. White belt's something that you would look at. It might be the first thing you look at. Other things that we're doing with respect to the environment go hand in hand with, making that a rather easy decision, but at this point, and I've had tremendous opportunities under 3 occasions now over the last month to actually talk to Stephen Del Duca, our leader, about this. That's one that hasn't come up yet, but it's a good one, and I will ask.
We can jump in. Thanks. Boy, you're really handling this good, Jason. You're really.
I love the planning. Paul.
Yeah. Well, we got to share the podium.
Share
the podium a bit. but the bottom line is this: over the years, I've watched for decades the city of Hamilton expanding, and our infrastructure is expanding. We can't maintain it. And one of the biggest things was to introduce people back to the core of the city, condos, whatever you want to do. There's been a lot of that done, but not enough. We have to move more people back to the city. It's less expensive to have people downtown and in the suburbs that are already existing. They've been there 60 years. Stoney Creek, Ancaster, Dundas, all those have been there. Why do we keep expanding when we can't maintain the infrastructure? And then the infrastructure gets worn, so we have to deal with the bad infrastructure first before we can even deal with the new infrastructure. And development is great, but there's ways to do development downtown and get our core of our city back, because a lot of it's empty. I could fire a cannon off, Mike, on Burlington Street and not hit anybody. It's brutal. Even the North End's not doing that great anymore. We've got places that are lovely that could be developed downtown and for least amount of money.
Well, I got to retort there. Not doing enough, but we have a nationally recognized award-winning downtown secondary plan that is focused on 40% of high-rise intensification.
But
if you
Jason,
take a look around,
they're not imposed. They're not putting it through. They're talking about it, and it's a plan.
You passed 4 high-rises on your way to the studio tonight.
4 high-rises in a city of 680,000 total, I think, is not enough to be at least. And we've already talked about housing.
We know it's not enough, which is why we have this plan.
But you haven't talked about housing, affordable housing involved in that too. As I mentioned earlier, I'll reiterate, we need buildings that are going to house people that are on the streets as well, and get them into a place of a decent living. And that it's
You're
not
not
all.
hearing me tonight. I did mention that. It was my second point.
Well,
We
okay,
have 68,000. I think it's 78,000 affordable housing. That's part of the Liberal plan. But I mean, locally, give us some credit. We understand. And $157 million local investment to the
Jason,
waterfront.
I've heard
Just
100,000 Liberal plans over the years, and you're lucky if you get 30% of them done.
I'm
with all
saying
due
we
respect.
know it as a municipality, Paul, and we're going to be supported by the Ontario Liberal Party to keep going strong here in
Mr. Buck,
Hamilton.
would you like to get in on this?
I just want to add that it's just a complete disregard of the Conservatives that they do not respect the people of Hamilton. And you saw the Stop the Sprawl movement, and it was Andrew and Sandy Shaw who supported Stop the Sprawl. First and foremost, the NDP will plan not to expand beyond our borders and exclusionary zoning and make transit-oriented development. This will create opportunity to create affordable homes, social homes, intensification within our borders, and will make affordable homes in our transit corridor. Thank you.
Anyone like to continue on and follow up with this lively discussion? No? Okay, we will continue on. Joining us back from 900 CHML, Rick Zampern, your question and who you're directing it to, please.
Yes, thank you, Mike. This is for Mr. Miller. 5 years ago, the average price of a home here in Hamilton was about $500,000. It's now, 5 years later, over $1 million. How do we get people to catch up? Is it possible? Do we end blind bidding? Do we have an auction-style process? How do we fix the housing sector?
Well, I think there's a lot of puzzles here to be filled in. Number one, foreign investment and conglomerates that are they're even actually going in, Rick, and buying whole towns and raising the price, and condos are being redone and tripling the price. It's get to a point where our children are going to be home for a long time in the basement because they cannot afford to buy homes. I mean, I would have never, when I first bought my first house, dreamed that my house would be $1 million. Never, ever in a million years. No pun intended. But the bottom line is, real estate's got out of hand right across North America. It's absolutely insane. And I hope we don't end up with another Fannie Mae. And I think we could, because I think the bubble's going to burst. And when it does, there are going to be a lot of people that are going to be homeless and out of homes because they can't afford to stay in the ones they've got. They're on a shoestring. I mean, Canada Housing and Mortgage Corporation even lowered the level. I think it's like you can get 5%. I think it used to be like you had to have at least 10 or 15% down. Now it's 5%. But that puts young people in a bind, because you get in there and the interest rates go up 1-2%, they lose their home.
And specific to your question, Rick, we're going to ban non-resident ownership That's a big problem. It's a money game and not a get people in homes game. The 1.5 million homes that we want to build, that we will build, also helps because we're dealing with the supply and demand issue in a lot of ways. And we're going to also tax empty homes, something we do in Hamilton, by the way, a vacant building tax, and put a use it or lose it levy on speculators with serviced land, approved building permits, but they're sitting and speculating and waiting to build. There'll be penalties for that under the Ontario Liberal Party.
Rick, very quickly, follow-up question, and then we'd like to get Mr. Butt involved.
It's a completely different topic, but I think it's an important one given what happened in Uvalde, Texas yesterday with the school massacre. We don't see that in Canada, thankfully, but Mr. Farr, your leader is proposing a gun ban. I'll ask this of Mr. Miller because I directed the original question to him. Is that going to work?
Well, I'll be honest with you, Rick. I would like to see handguns banned completely. I mean, okay, if they're respectful hunters and they keep their rifles locked up and regularly checked, I mean, you can't stop people from hunting and fishing and things they've done all their life. Handguns got to go. They're the ones that are causing 80% of the deaths, and you don't get long guns or rifles very often unless in a school shooting they might come in with. Automatic rifles, who needs to have an automatic rifle in this country or in North America? They should be totally banned. Machine guns, it's outrageous. Like, I mean, you're putting guns in the hands of babies, and they're going in there and they're killing people because they might have issues. We don't know what their issues are. It could be school, it could be parenting, it could be drug issues, it could be mental health issues. We don't know. But until you cannot keep selling guns in North America and expect things to change.
Let's open this up now. Mr. Butt, if you'd like to get involved, please.
Thank you so much. People are alarmed and worried about shooting and the violences. We will let cities ban handguns and work with the federal government to stop the flow. But most importantly, we'll tackle the root of the violence and work with community partners to ensure we keep the youth off the streets, to give them avenues to escape from violence or help them get the support that they need through our mental health coverage.
Mr. Farr?
And I would say that's something that, parties can do. Maybe independents can advocate for and maybe support parties for, but our party is ensuring that no student waits more for critical mental health help. And I think, this is a mental health issue when it comes to what Rick was bringing up, and it certainly affected us all emotionally over the course of the last few days, and even when you're talking about what happened in Tops just last week. We're going to hire 1,000 more mental health workers for students and staff and make mental health first aid training more available for school staff, because that goes a long way, and that certainly helps. And I think it was the most recognizable platform plank in the first few days of the Del Duca campaign, and that was banning all handguns in Ontario. Of course, we're going to support that.
Mr. Miller?
Well, this should have been done 25 years ago, to be frank, and it wasn't. And every government before an election promises to do it. And the gun associations in the states, they lobby politicians in the states, and they put money into campaigns, and somehow it never gets done. And I just want to see Canada lead the way. Take Britain, for instance. No handguns allowed in Britain. I've been there, and sure, there's still get the odd murder, you get things happen, domestic problems, but basically, they are 85% less likely to have someone killed on the street with a handgun. Why can't we be more like Britain in Canada?
I'm being told we have to move on here. I'm really sorry. And to
Can I just say that Ontario's Liberals are leading the way, and Trudeau is following, as we heard today in the news, on banning handguns.
Thank you very much. To our media panels, Bobby, Matt, and Tara, we need quicker questions, please, and direct your question to your candidate and a quick follow-up to that particular topic. Bobby, you're up.
Sure thing. This is to the Liberal candidate. You said a lot of people supported getting their parks back when asked about encampments. I just wonder, I'd like to know a bit more about what you would say to your constituents who were living in those encampments.
Take the help. This is the best city, the best by far. I've said it publicly. Bobby, you've reported on it, I'm sure, with the CBC. Nobody handles housing and homelessness better than the city of Hamilton. And unfortunately, particularly because of the high acuity issues, folks have a preference to be out there where there are no rules. The rules affect them. We do housing and homelessness better. We invest more municipal dollars in what should be provincial investments, and believe me, the OLP will make those investments, as we talked about tonight. But nobody does it better than the city, and so take the hand of those individuals that are coming multiple times per day to get you to a better place.
Bobby, quick follow-up, please.
Yes, on the topic of protecting vulnerable community members, I wonder, there have been a lot of incidents of racism within local schools. I wonder, what can the province do to ensure school boards are taking that more seriously?
I mentioned it a few times, and I'm glad it's a prevalent issue actually here in this debate. So again, gets back to systemic racism becoming an issue. We actually have funding for schools on the issue, but again, establishing the ministry, having a minister that focuses specifically on racism issues, systemic racism issues, Islamophobia, those sorts of things need the kind of attention of a ministry. No one's done it before. We're going to do it.
Open for conversation.
Unlike this government, who has made cuts in anti-racism initiatives, NDP promises this is why they worked hand in hand with National Council of Canadian Muslims to introduce our London Family Act, which the PCs did not agree to.
Mr. Miller, any final words? We're good.
I'm good.
We're good. Okay, awesome. I'm just trying to get the eyes looking at each other. Mr. Ingram from CHCH, your question and who you're directing it to, please.
I'll direct this question to the NDP candidate. The price of food is outrageous, and it's forecast to continue going up. If elected, what will you do to help decrease the price of food?
Thank you so much. As we know, jobs aren't paying the bills like they used to. When the Liberals had a chance to raise the prices, it took them forever to take action, and the Conservatives didn't do either. Prices are going up, but wages are staying stagnant. NDP will increase minimum wage to $20.
Follow up to that?
But what will you do about the actual price of food? It's great to increase the wages, but if they're still spending all their money on food, that doesn't really help much.
As you'll see with our plan, the minimum wage will go up gradually and people will be able to afford the food that they can.
Open for discussion, Mr. Miller.
I think your question is, minimum wage will go up and go up, but the food's going up, and how do they get ahead? How do they maintain? I think that's your question.
Yes.
I think, obviously, the growers have had some difficulty in the last few years with severe weather situations, and it's certainly taken its impact. And we've brought a lot of our produce, and that comes from South America and down the southern states. So I think I'd like to see a huge effort on our national and provincial levels for greenhouses to grow our own fruit and vegetables at a price that's affordable for the people in the cities and that can't afford it. And that way, if we keep our prices down, they can use their money for other things, as you mentioned. So I think a huge project for greenhouses and they're environmentally friendly as well. And I think that would be great. And we could put up we've got lots of land to put up greenhouses, and we could be self-sufficient in this country.
Mr. Farr?
Brownfield land, I actually like that idea as well, and certainly I'll talk to our leader about it. But, affordability is the number one issue at the door. In 2019 federals election, the environment was the number one issue, still up there, I think, with the thousands of doors that I've knocked on in Hamilton, East Stoney Creek. But you have to offset, at least at this point, you have to give people the security to know that they have a government that's got their backs, that's willing to pay more for minimum wage. We're looking at also bringing back the basic income pilot. Why? Because you should only be spending 30% of your income on your rent, and we know and we allocate certain funds for food, and we factor in on basic income and things like minimum wage, the price of food, the price of gas. And so, Matt, definitely the number one, in my opinion, and I'm sure the other guys will tell you the same, issue at the door. But to food specifically itself, just like the gun announcement, I mean, not taxing on $20 or less prepared foods at local grocery stores or elsewhere, big hit.
Mr. Miller?
Well, Jason, that's certainly a good idea, and I appreciate where you're coming from, but I've got a little problem with it. I've been in that legislature a long time, and a lot of money gets wasted there every day. And under your leader, who was a sitting member of cabinet for many years, they wasted billions of dollars. The gas plant scandal, Orange Air scandal, the Mars scandal, sold off our hydro, which now is driving up our hydro prices. So that's great, But if you're wasting all that kind of money, billions of dollars that the Liberals wasted under Kathleen Wynne, they certainly could be using that for the things you're talking about. And now you're going to maintain those other things as well and still do what you're going to do. I think it's going to be a fiscal challenge for you, and I don't think you can do it.
Well, I'll agree with you that you've been there a long time, Paul. We are going to introduce a new tax bracket for Ontarians that I don't think I've ever heard the NDP talk about, or at least I don't recall, and I apologize if you have, with taxable income over $500,000 per year, going up to a taxing rate of 15.16%. And for the big billion-dollar businesses like the box stores that Mr. Ford really supported throughout the pandemic, forgetting about Ma and Pa, we'll certainly tax them to the degree that they should be taxed, and anybody making over $1 billion with their business as well. Needs to be fair. It's a 0.2%, but they need to understand that poverty exists, and it's getting worse, and there's ways to fund these. This is a costed
Jason,
platform.
You're trying to control the conversation, right? Actually, it has been presented by the NDP, not that I'm NDP anymore, but they had a level of 250,000. Anyone over 250,000 would pay more tax. So if you're going to tax the rich, then that includes the friends, developer friends of the Liberal government and the Conservatives, who have got away with a lot of tax breaks over the years, and now they have to step up to the plate and carry a little bit of the load to help the rest of us.
Final word will go to Mr. Miller there. We do have to wrap up, I'm being told, in the control room. Thank you to each of our candidates for tonight, for your time. We know how busy you are out on the campaign trail. And again, thanks again to our media panel for this debate. Matthew Van Dongen, Rick Zamperin, Bobby Rostova, Matt Ingram, and of course, Tara Crunali from Cable 14. As mentioned, we only have a few minutes left with our Hamilton East Stoney Creek candidates, so we must move on now to our closing statements, going in reverse order from our opening. 1 minute each, starting with Mr. Paul Miller, the incumbent independent.
Thanks, Mike. I'd also like to thank the media for being here, and they had some really good questions. And also, once again, Mike, you've done a wonderful job moderating. I'd like to start off by saying, as the only candidate who actually lives and works in Hamilton East Stoney Creek for over 60 years, and as someone who continues to operate an office on Queenston and Parkdale, I'm the only candidate with the in-person experience to represent the community in Toronto. I stand here as an independent candidate after many years of speaking out against the leadership of this province, from speaking my mind to people in power, including my former leader. My refusal to go away without a fight is why I proudly stand here as an independent candidate who is ready, willing, and able to continue the fight for the hardworking people of Hamilton East Stoney Creek. The party system is broken, and people know it. The evidence is right before you in the very room, with 2 no-shows and, unfortunately, an opportunist who has saw his chance to further his own personal interest. I ask the voters of Hamilton East Stoney Creek to continue to support me and send a message to the Ivory Tower elites that people are tired of the games and want true and honest representation.
Mr. Miller, thank you very much. Mr. Farr, your final closing statements.
Oh, I just would love to just spend that whole time with a rebuttal as this born and raised East Ender who is hardly an opportunist, if that was directed at me. Okay,
Let's have Mr. Farr have his closing statement.
It's a closing statement, but regardless, you know, I've been a Liberal since the mid-'70s, when my single mom, who brought my brother and I up to act accordingly, to be responsible, to be polite to our neighbors, and to try to make the world a better place, did her volunteering for people like John Munro, for people like our former Deputy Prime Minister Sheila Copps, for people like Chad's mom, Shirley Collins. And boy, it is something to see that ideology that was embraced in Hamilton East Stoney Creek is still very much so embraced. And in fact, I could tell you from knocking on many, many doors over the course of this campaign, people want to get back to that. And that's where I want to go, because that's where I fell in love with this party. That's where my mother did her thing, because they looked after people. We're inclusive. We're about you. Vote for Jay.
Mr. Farr, thank you very much. And final statement goes to Mr. Butt of the NDP party.
Thank you so much. I guess the candidate forgot that I actually went to Lake Avenue, graduated from Glendale, and I actually met a lot of my teachers on the campaign trail. This election is about picking someone who will stand up for our community in Queen's Park and fix what's broken. This election is about choosing the person who will help make life more affordable and provide the critical public service service that you depend on. Our province is at a crossroad. In Hamilton East Stoney Creek, everyday life is getting more expensive. From filling up your gas tank to getting home to raising a family has become harder and more expensive. Ford promised to make life cheaper, but things have gotten more expensive under him. And all the Conservatives do is cut. And the Del Duca when Liberals had 15 years to make life better. But remember what they did? Sold off Hydro One, and our bills skyrocketed. People on the doors tell me that they're fed up with the choices they have from bad to worse. That hope is too much to ask for. I'm running to be
Mr.
your
Butt,
MPP
thank you very much for that
because
closing
I'm fed
statement.
up too.
We do
I know we
appreciate it. We
deserve
do have
better,
to
and if we come
continue on
together,
now.
we can fix
So
what's
thank you
broken.
all very much for our candidates for coming, Mr. Butt, Mr. Farr, Mr. Miller. We do appreciate it. And your willingness, of course, to share your views and positions. And once again, our Hamilton East Stoney Creek debate has featured Paul Miller as the incumbent running independently, the Liberals' Jason Farr, and the NDP's Zagham Butt. Also running in Hamilton East Stoney Creek are Cassie Wiley for the Green Party, Jeffrey Rolino for the New Blue Party, Cameron Rajewski for the Electrical Reform Party, Neil Lumsden of the PC Party, and Dominic DeLuca for the Ontario Party. Now remember, you can find all of our local riding debates on demand at cable14.com, free for public viewing and sharing, all courtesy of Coach Cohen Rogers, of course. Also, take a look at the schedule there of when to find all of our other debates. Our final debate for this election will be for Hamilton Mountain, airing live tomorrow night, Thursday at 7 p.m. on Cable 14, cable14now.com, and thespec.com. And please join us on election night for up-to-date results and analysis. Our broadcast is going to begin at 8 p.m. Thanks again to our candidates here tonight and our media panel. I'm Mike Fortune. Have a wonderful rest of your evening. We'll see you tomorrow.